Hello and welcome back to Garplag Games. We are playing some more Monster of the Week. I'm very happy to be running as always, because I always am running. No, that's not true. And today I'm with three lovely players, and we're gonna have a little bit, of a bit of fun. And it's not maybe there's gonna be a mystery. Well, there's always gonna be a mystery, but maybe there'll be a monster, maybe there won't be a monster. Maybe there will, who knows.
Maybe the monster
Anyway,
was inside
Maybe
us all
we're the
along.
monsters.
yeah, we're all monsters deep down.
Hasn't that been the main arc or theme of all of the entire?
Yeah, it's gonna be like 2 hours of just philosophy. There you go. But anyway, I shall start. So, Ben, introduce your character as always.
Hello, I am playing Aggie Wazbowski, a spell slinger. And my recent new and exciting XP pickup is the Unnatural Appeal move from the Monstrous playbook.
Yes, which now means that you can roll weird when you want to manipulate someone. Leon, introduce your character.
I am playing Billy Shears, the Flake, like the conspiracy theorist of the group. And I just realised I leveled up and I didn't pick something. But I think I'm going to take a move from another playbook. And I am going to take from the, what are they called? The Expert.
Oh, a good shout.
I've read about this sort of thing. I think this sort of fits Billy's character. So I roll sharp instead of cool when acting under pressure.
Very nice. That's definitely going to help you now. Definitely. Okay, and finally, joining us for the first time as a player is Lewis. So, tell us the name and playbook of your character. We'll keep a little bit of it secret, so the audience gets a surprise.
I'm Lewis. I'm playing Mr. Aceman, and I'm the Expert playbook.
Oh, thank God you pronounced that, because I was not going to pronounce it that way. I'm so glad. Okay, never mind. Yes, so where we last left off, the group had, or I guess you could say the advisory group, had gone through their exam, kind of impromptu, to join the agency, as they have found out on an advisory condition. So they are now advisors to potential agents in the field. This was across the whole group, although we looked at the job that Aggie, Billy, and Ichabod were doing, but everyone else had their own kind of thing off screen. It was amazing. You should have seen it. And now, in the preceding week, you guys have been preparing for where you're going to be stationed, because something that you find out, that Anderson explains, is that it's what he does is kind of like an outfielder kind of position. A roving investigator is not really what most agents want to be doing. It's something that either very young agents do or very old agents do. And Anderson is not, it's, kind of in the middle. And you guys are now at the experience level, at least from the agency's perspective, to be stationed or put in a particular place. And here's something we're going to do that we've not done before. Over the course of this week, the pair of you, and everyone else, but the pair of you are here, so you'll get to roll, are able to do a little bit of information gathering about the agency, because, as Ben has been saying many times over, that Aggie now has the multipass. And also, something that we've perhaps been kind of neglecting is the fact that you were all independent and still are relatively still quite independent from the agency. And it's a little bit unlikely, I think, that you guys would, just take everything the agency is saying at complete face value and do no research yourself. So here's how we're going to do this. You may roll on one of your stats, just the stat itself. I guarantee you'll pick one of the bigger ones, but you're now at levels where you can roll, and a few of the stats are quite big. And each of the stats will get you information on aspects of the agency. So your charm will be you'll be able to learn something about either Agent Anderson's group or Agent Anderson himself, or maybe just someone else in the agency. And you can describe to me how you do that. Sharp gets you information about the agency in general, its history, its background, blah, 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 what's its mission ethos. Tough gets you information about their fighting capabilities, their weaponry, their tactics. Weird gets you stuff about how they use magic or how much they understand about the paranormal and the metaphysical and all that kind of thing. And cool is a secret. You get a secret just because cool is really awkward and I didn't come up with a snappy line for it. So you just do some digging and happen across something. Unfortunately, Lewis, you won't be able to roll because you're not privy to this 1 week, but you'll get to do other fun stuff, I promise. I've not missed out a skill, have I? I've covered them all.
No, you covered them all.
Come on, yeah. That's what they'll do, and you can learn a little bit from there. You can choose how you want to do this. I'm not gonna like twist your arm on this. So, and you don't have to roll if you think this is boring. So, what would Aggie roll on if Aggie wishes to roll?
I think it would be fairly obvious what Aggie would roll on.
Weird.
Okay.
Yeah, Aggie would definitely roll on weird.
So what is Aggie doing to kind of pick on this? So for context, there is an agent, not Agent Anderson. Agent Anderson has been coming in and out over the course of the week. Her name is, what was her agent name? Her name was Portia. Her name is Portia, or at least that's what she refers to herself as Agent Portia. She is probably about the same age as Agent Anderson, but it's a little bit hard to tell, again, because all agents kind of have, once you get to a certain age, it's like, oh, you could be a really bad 30s or a really fantastic 50s. It's kind of hard to tell. So yeah, that's kind of where she is. And she has basically been giving you her orientation. She's the only agent you've met, but Anderson isn't your parent, so you can leave the apartment that you guys are staying in. What do you want to do, like, research-wise, into the mystics of the agency?
Is she a mundane agent, or is she also a magic user?
She is that's a good question. She is not. I will give you a freebie because, and Billy, you would learn this, and all of you would have learned this, and Lewis's character would also know this. The agency is a little bit complicated with how it treats magic. They tend not to encourage their agents to learn magic. From what you've definitely seen from Anderson, he barely understands it. And there definitely seems to be a policy of not encouraging people to interact with the supernatural world on any form of intimacy like that. The most they seem to use is potentially tools that can nullify or combat it, but it seems quite rare for somebody to pick it up and actually learn it.
Well, presumably they have a library, even if it's a sealed library that nobody's allowed into.
Yeah.
Although
you do have access to their resources. Your role will determine how far you get with their resources.
That's what I want to do. I want to get into the sealed archives.
Okay. Well, they have quite a few because the agency, despite only being about 50 years old, has accumulated quite a lot of information from various sources. So yeah, I would say that it's not difficult to get Agent Anderson or Agent Portia to take you to one of the archival sites. There's probably one only maybe at max an hour's out from where you guys live. So roll me weird to see how well you do.
That's a 10.
A 10. Okay.
And he rolled
10.
a 7 on the dice.
That's totally fine. 10. Okay, that's pretty good. So I'll say this. You can ask me 2 of your own questions about magic. It can be any 2. And if you would like me to do Billy now...
you do Billy while I think of my questions.
Okay, Billy. Same sort of situation. What do you want to learn about the agency?
Okay, so...
what skill do you want to roll off of?
Billy's going to roll on sharp.
Sharp. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I imagine you'll also be... Well, actually, what are you looking for? How are you looking for things?
So I think Billy's had his curiosity piqued by the events where we had the whole casino heist and there was that cult. And the fact that we started looking for them because we were looking for like void areas of magic. And basically, Billy wants to start looking at other historical anomalies and these organizations, and then the agency will have butted up against them. So he's kind of trying to use them as an edge to see where the agency has interacted or done something. So like around the country, the world, however they operate.
Very much like the sound of that. Give me a roll, and it'll be the same.
Get your red string handy.
Yeah. So yeah, same thing.
Snake eyes. Plus
Really?
3.
Shit.
5 in total.
5. Okay, well,
Spend a point of luck.
Spend all your luck now.
How much
I will
luck do we
say-
actually get? Because Billy
You get
It's
spent a
on your
all
lot.
character
of-
sheet. You
it's on your
start off with a
character
fixed
sheet,
amount, and you
start
keep a
with
fixed amount.
7.
12.
But remember,
Uh,
guys, when you spend luck, there's a consequence.
Yeah, I don't want to spend luck on this one. I think it's just
No, don't
Billy's
spend-
going to be
I'll say as the GM,
tied
it's
himself
not worth
up.
it.
Yeah,
You do learn things, but it's what the agency is happy for you to learn. So when you do digging into that, you kind of quickly get this impression that the agency seems pretty confident in their ability to have little to no, excuse me, that was a very hoarse voice, little to no opponents. Something they seem quite happy to talk about, kind of comes off as gloating in some places, is that shortly after, so post World War II, they actually assimilated quite a lot of agencies. So prior to the Great War, so World War One, basically there was tons of like little organizations doing their own thing, kind of a little bit like ivory tower science in a sense, just weirdos who were all like, yes, Bellamy, let us investigate the man who turns into a wolf at night. But around about after the war, a lot of them were dead, or a lot of the great institutes of study were fucked. So they kind of all kind of got smooshed together into what the agency was, and there were some that were independent. Post World War II, the agency consumed a lot of them. There are very few independent groups. In terms of what you were describing with the cult and crime, the agency says they have very little issue with that. There's very few contenders to them, and they make it pretty clear that they have very little in the way of competition. There's maybe like 1 or 2 groups that are maybe a bit powerful, but they don't even name them because from the agency's perspective, they are not actually a threat. It's more just like, So yeah, agency has no problems whatsoever. Now, you don't have to believe that because you're not stupid, but unfortunately that's all you're getting is their propaganda, basically. Did you think of your questions, Aggie?
I did.
Okay.
First question.
Whoopsie-daisy.
How much magical power and information is stored in this location?
In that location, I'll give you that as a freebie. You don't have to spend a question on that. Not a lot.
Not a lot.
Something that you learn pretty quickly after kind of leafing through the information. The agency operates on a system of very decentralized departments. So I'll say this: the department you're in doesn't really matter. Like they're basically just no-name folks. Like they do, I don't know, Department of Obscure Agriculture, but all the departments kind of have their own little storehouses and they keep their own information. You do get, again, this is a freebie to all you get the impression that agents are a bit cagey with other departments, and while they will let you in, they're a bit like, hey, don't go spying. And that's when you would find is that there's not a great deal here, but it is pretty varied. Like they're not really working within their explicit department. They're kind of just hoarding stuff. And I would say in a week's time, you could jump around. Like we're dealing with a full week here, so you could jump around and do a bit of experimentation. So I'll let you keep the question you asked, because that would be unfair to me as a GM to spend a point. So what was the other one?
Okay, the other question the other question was going to be how well warded are the library locations?
Generally speaking, pretty well warded. Not as big as some that you probably experienced growing up. Definitely not as specialized. You, having grown up as a magic user, as a witch, would know that other witches and mages and such are usually quite particular about their privacy and are very good at getting very specific and niche ways of stopping people. The agency's not that. It's factory, it's flat pack. A lot of their security is good. Like, if you didn't know what the fuck you were doing, you'd probably get fucked up by them, but you do know what you're doing, and it's not too difficult to, say the right words, write the right things, and kind of breeze past most of them. And that's the problem you quickly realize they have, is that you can pretty much break into most places. You assume that some of the more important departments and archives probably have better security than these guys, because you're basically going to a building that has maybe 3 floors total and maybe at max 50 to 60 people working there. So if you were to go to like one in like the capital where there's thousands of people working there, you imagine their security would be a lot better. But I will say it is factory setting, so a lot of the stuff is the same. It's generic. It's also not very imaginative. It seems like they use it because they know people will break in rather than we actually give a shit.
Okay.
Yeah. And do you have another question to ask while I'm kind of doing this stuff? Feel free, or you can hold it.
No, I'll ask the other question.
Okay.
I'm interested in what they've got on other magical organizations, much like Leon's idea, but instead of enemies, focus on specific groups of mystics.
Okay. So, by specific groups of mystics, do you mean people that they consider to be allies as opposed to enemies?
Or I don't care, allies or enemies. What do they know of any other magical organizations? Because I've been kept very much in the dark about that.
Yeah. So
kind of self-taught.
So similarly to what Leon would have, and I'm assuming not Leon, Billy would have learned, and you guys would have corroborated, I imagine. So Billy's stuff was propaganda. They do have groups that rival them in power, and they do have groups that are contesting them. What they weren't lying about is how pervasive their influence is. They did take on a great deal of organizations and actually a lot of small independent Wiccan circles and small cults. And to be clear, when we say cults, like some of them were the bad kind, others were just weirdos. But to be clear, a lot of smaller independent homegrown magical organizations were just completely swallowed up. Kind of a whole hostile takeover dealio, sometimes quite literally with the hostility. There are only a couple groups that rival them. They seem to be similar to the crime syndicate that agents and the others ran into in the sense that they are very self-interested. There are, oh boy, I'm not going to have to start naming some, aren't I? Yeah.
You don't have to name names specifically, but you can always say that there are some, and then we can fill in the gaps later in the game.
Yeah. For I actually.
So, for example, does Saint Hecate's name come up in that list at all?
Not in that list, no.
So
Saint Hecate comes up in a different list, but you're not looking in that list.
Oh, I wasn't looking in that list.
No, you weren't. It doesn't come up under that. The woman that you did speak to, you do see her picture, but unfortunately, it's just kind of one of those really dry, like it's a very like dry newspaper article that seems to be that they've held on to it because they know she's important, but they don't really know why. You find that quite a lot. Again, a freebie. There are tons of just like articles. Billy would be in paradise. There's so much here that's just like there was a
Is there enough red string on the continental United States for Billy to be able to do this role?
Like something that definitely feels very apparent is that the agency, on a fundamental level, the agency seems a little bit unsure about what should be classified and what shouldn't be. Like as often as you see something that's like, oh yeah, no, those guys are real or whatever, you see something like turnip that looks like JFK's face, and you're like, that, I don't think that's noteworthy. I think that's just and there's a lot of stuff like that where it's clear that they're kind of just taking anything that sounds a bit weird and could mean something. What I will say for the organizations is, what I would say is a collective thing is that nobody fights the agency. The agency seems to get on pretty good terms with most of them, but in that kind of way that like Apple probably gets on with other big corporations. Like there's crime syndicates, there are legitimate doomsday cults, there's a whole bunch of stuff, and they all kind of are like, hey, yeah, we'll stay out your hair agency if you stay out of ours, and it's that kind of dynamic. But unfortunately the specifics are unavailable to you because you're
that's okay. I wasn't after specifics.
No problem. So after you guys have done your week's worth of research, you are actually, you know what, I'm gonna have another roll because it's been a little while. Both of you roll act under pressure. It is the morning when you're about to go to your new assignment.
Nine.
9.
6.
6. Yes. Okay. So Billy, you are fast asleep in bed. You're all nice and warm. You're not waking up for anything. A. Janssen's gonna have to come in there with a crowbar to get you out of that bed.
No.
Aggie, you catch the tail end of a conversation. You do sleep in maybe a little bit later than you should do, but you do wake up to hear as I said, the tail end of a somewhat heated conversation that Anderson is having with Moth, who, remember, is one of the 4 agents that he works with. As you found over the week, they are also coming with you. They're going to be doing as Anderson put it, the actual paperwork side of the advisory board, because he knows that you guys won't bother to do that or won't know how to do that. He did try and teach you agency paperwork protocols. All of you, like Billy was the only one that kind of was interested. The rest of you were so bored. I'm pretty sure Paz didn't even show up, just left like a mop that said Paz on it in a place. Like, you all were very not happy about that Wednesday. So yeah, that's where they're coming. You don't catch most of it, but what you do catch is that Moth is repeatedly saying to Anderson that they're going to put us in the fucking pit. And unfortunately, you didn't catch the bit before, but you do catch that. Anderson is, I guess the best way to describe it is he's not frustrated, he's exasperated. It seems like it's the conversation they've either had quite a lot, or this is just an occurrence that they argue quite a bit. The other 3 are kind of not really getting involved. They don't, I'll say that if you peek outside your window down to the camper van that they have not a camper van, like a moving van while you're shitting it and stuff, they don't look happy about the assignment they've been given, but they seem at least like kind of stoic about it, like this is our job. Moth isn't. Moth is flipping out, like she's quite red-faced. But it's an impasse, and the 4 of them get in their agency mobile and are basically waiting for you guys to pack up and get ready. Now, you've packed most of your stuff. You maybe have like a carry-all, but you are ready to go. Anderson has not told you where you're going, nor has the agency. Agent
He's
Portia,
done that before. We've moved a couple of times.
Yes, but he has said that this is the permanent home, so you won't be moving much after this. So he comes to wake you up, Billy. You are very rudely awakened from your bed. Which I imagine, actually, you're probably sleeping on like a blow-up bed, because they probably put your actual bed in the moving trucks.
Yeah.
I guess that's a question. Are either of you carrying a lot of things? Did you bring a lot of possessions with you when you moved into this apartment? Or are you all quite light packers? Because they might just leave the beds and stuff now that I think about it.
I kind of get the feeling that Aggie is mostly wardrobe and knickknacks.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Billy's a laptop, and I dare say probably notebooks.
Yeah.
And they've probably got a box taped up that says essential magic supplies on it, which is literally just full of like soft toys.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Aggie definitely was like, I will need this box, and then closed and locked the door. Was like, this box is full. Do not open it, for you shall lose your mind. Mr. Fluffings. So he packs up, and you drive out, and you drive, and drive, and drive, and it's kind of getting to the point where it's like, where are we going? Because you have left civilization very, very thoroughly. You are, after 6 hours of driving, you're in desert country. Not like full-blown sand dunes, but like, the arid southwest. I think that's American geography. Doesn't matter because the place you're going doesn't exist in real life.
Look, it's America's largest fiberglass cactus.
Yeah, there's tons of those. There's like, look, it's the biggest ball of cheese strings. Yeah. Adrian does not stop, though, and nor does your convoy of... Oh, and I guess, Billy, you're driving your very nice, expensive car, I imagine.
If we're bringing that, yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course we're bringing it. But did you sell it for a nice... You can sell it if you want. You don't have to bring it.
No, I think Billy's still got
I will
it.
say, we'll do this after the stream, but they did release rules for vehicles, so we could actually give it some rules and stuff like that and kit it out. So you're driving and driving and driving. Something I'll say as a freebie for those of you who are in the Stanmobile with Stan. He looks pensive. He looks uncomfortable with the journey, not in like a scared out of his skin kind of way, but in a kind of sad, not grumpy. He doesn't appear grumpy. He just feels a bit depressed would be the best way to put it. He's not like, but he's, he's not chatty. He's usually quite chatty with you guys in the car. There's no music. He hasn't put any CDs or anything in. And when you guys do it, he doesn't really seem to react much. Normally he's like, oh, why can't we listen to the Beatles? But yeah, it's just this kind of long, quite awkward drive until about 8 hours in, you see something on the horizon. Something a bit strange considering where you are. Because as I said, to your left, to your right is desert. Like, it's just desert as far as or rather like arid scrubland, let's say. There's a city. And you do like you rub your eyes and you check it's not a mirage, and there's a city. Not like a metropolis, but a sizable city. You can see not skyscrapers, but definitely quite tall buildings in the horizon. And as you get closer, Anderson's expression gets kind of grimaceier, and to the point where he's actually almost cringing.
Okay, Billy, you're the expert. Where are we?
Oh, that's a good point. Laptop do you have a device that would have sat nav or something on there?
Well, he's also a genius, and so he could probably work out that if we've been traveling southwest for 8 hours, we'd be in the vicinity of.
Oh, that's a very good point.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to roll act under pressure?
Act under pressure. Cool.
Yep, because I now know you use sharp on that.
Oh my god, I got snake eyes again.
Again. Oh.
Plus cool, so that's 3 in total.
Okay.
I'm gonna change my dice.
So actually, no, it still works. So actually, you sit down.
Those out the window.
Yeah.
You sit down. Remember our mark experience for your 2 failures. So you sit down and you have a nice big think, and you're turning up blank. Like, geographically speaking, you go and we go down here. Wait a minute.
Would be that? Yeah, not where I'm
no
expecting
city
us to be.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there should be, but you, I mean, as any rational person, you've memorized the map of the United States, all the roadways, because they all link up and mean something. There's not a city here. There's a road, and yeah, I mean, it probably would shoot off at one point, but there shouldn't be a city here. It's not on any maps.
I don't know where we are, Aggie. This is a weird one.
So, as you're getting closer, Aggie, the city
magic
has
senses.
Oh, you want to activate them? Do you have to roll
yeah.
for that, or do you just activate?
No, I need to roll for it because what have I got? The only magic sense that I've got specifically is the third eye one, which is from reading a bad situation. But if you want me to roll act under pressure, I will happily do that.
If you want to roll act under pressure, similarly because act under pressure is your generic, like you're trying to do something.
Well, I'm kind of
difficult.
using magic, really.
Yeah,
because it's magic sense.
It is magic sense. What does it say to roll for that? Does it say read
It
bad
does
situation?
not. But under, I haven't got the magic thing open. Sorry.
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Hunter reference sheet. That's the one I want.
You can use magic if you want. I would.
On the Hunter
I'd
reference
let you
sheet
do that.
to use magic, that would be. I suppose it's observe another place or time, except it's this place and time.
I'll let you just do something beyond human limitations. That's my act under pressure.
That's your go-to. Okay.
Magic, yeah.
4,
Because you
5,
are doing something beyond human limitations. Humans can
6, 7, 8.
8. So, okay. I normally don't say what the malfunction is going to be, but this is a rare instance where it is actually quite like noteworthy. So you are, well, how do you cast your spells? Do you say words, or what do you do normally?
I only have to use 2 of the tools and techniques, so I tend to focus on gestures and incantations. So yeah, it's
So as you're doing that, Anderson kind of looks over to you. Are you in the front with him or in the back?
probably get in the front.
Okay. As you're casting the spell, there's a brief moment where you look to the city and you get a really big sense of deja vu, because this reminds you an awful lot. The computer just made a really loud noise in my ears. I'm going to ignore that. You get really, because it reminds you an awful lot of the town that you went to, where that alien was being stored with all that magical whatchamacallits that the agency had just dumped. Except this is on a citywide level. Here's the problem, though. You only get that for a couple seconds, because the car, the back end of it, swings like a pendulum towards the city as soon as you cast the spell. So I Jansen is now having to get control of the car as the car is losing. It's almost as if you are being magnetically pulled towards the city. Now, that's what I was going to say before you cast your spell. You already kind of felt a little bit like that, kind of like the gravitational force of walking on a balancing beam, but it's like only 2 feet off the ground. Like when you wobble, like you can feel gravity pushing you, but it's not that much. As soon as you cast the spell, though, it's like on a bouncing beam that's 20 feet in the air. And now the force that's pulling you is a lot stronger. I'll say that Anderson is able to keep the car under control, because you didn't crit fail. Well, you didn't fail. But I will say that you take a point of harm as you kind of go bash off the side. Billy, I won't be mean. I'll let you. You don't have to roll. You won't. It's not your spell, so you have your seatbelt on like a sensible person. So you kind of go, and the car comes to a stop, as does the convoy. And this is probably the first time that Anderson looks. Well, he's looked frustrated before, but he does look a bit disheveled and actually looks a bit angry, and he's just looking at you for a moment. Trying to do that again, kiddo, until
Different
we
rules?
get little bit.
This is what briefings are for, Stan.
Everyone, let's go out, kids. I gotta explain this shit to you. Just out the car now, quickly. The car is still in the middle of the road, sideways. But the only things coming in and out right now are the 3 or 4 cars behind you, which have stopped. They're a little bit confused, but no one's jumping out, because if Stan's getting out the car in one piece, then presumably everyone else is fine. But he is asking you, the pair of you, to get out the car.
But he gets out the car. He's got that sinking pit stomach thing where it's like, he's not angry, he's disappointed.
He does motion for Moth to get out her car as well, and she comes over. She doesn't look happy about this either. And he basically goes, all right, so that, he points to say, is New Haven. Okay?
Never heard of it.
You wouldn't have. The agency made it back in the 50s. And
They
also,
made a city.
yes, it was
Is
the
this
50s.
one of those nuclear towns where they built it to see what would happen if they dropped a bomb on it?
A little bit. It wasn't a bomb in this instance.
No, I felt that.
What that is, and no, I don't know, and I'm not lying to you. I don't lie. I think it's not right. What they built was a honeypot. You see, the theory at the time was that the best way to prevent any incursion into Earth from other dimensions or from magical powers that may harm them was to create a focal point by which all things that fall out with their term of normalcy would be sucked in. And this is why Moth's here. Moth, can you grab Aggie for me? Aggie, if that's okay with you.
Mm-hmm.
Moth doesn't look disappointed by this news. Moth actually kind of cracks her knuckles and she grabs you. It's rough. She's not trying to kill you, but she is perhaps putting more pressure on you than is needed to hold you. Aggie, I'd like you to give me your advisory badge. Just for a moment, I'll give it right back.
Okay, I shall hand in the badge.
As soon as it leaves your grasp, Moth has to hold on to the Stanmobile as you are pulled forward like a magnet. The force of the city is really strong, and it seems that your very essence wants to go there. Billy, you've not felt any of this pull. I should know it. For the whole time, you have been totally fine. The city looks completely normal to you as well.
That place is going to be just a mess. How far out does this effect extend?
It used to extend to the whole of the continental United States. However, that only lasted for one very, I imagine, terrifying year in 1952. Since then, though, it's been gradually shrinking. It stopped at around about 5 miles out from the city. The city itself is completely
Okay, well, can I have the
shut in
badge
field.
back now then?
Yes. As soon as he gives you the badge back, the pool completely dissipates. As I said, it's not very strong when you're not actively using magic. But the badge seems to be negating the pool. Yep.
So is it?
Don't ask me how it works. I don't know. It was a bastard child between 1950s science and whatever occult shit they got their hands on. But
Yeah, I've read some of their books, and fuck's sake, your agency knows dick.
yeah, they built this, Aggie? They literally built a giant fly trap to stop things getting into, well, at least the
Yeah, but
States.
that shit's going to be full of all. Oh, that's why we're going there, isn't it? No
The
wonder
agent-
Moss was so pissed off.
Moth. First off, Moth has not dropped you yet, and she definitely squeezes you a little bit harder with misidentifying her code name. But Anderson goes, just drop her, Moth, and she does. And yes, Moth's it. Yeah. Do you want to know what that's called? Do you want to know what it's called in the agency? It's called the fucking pit. Everything's in there, kid.
Worst placement
By the way, when
for
she
the
says
whole agency.
Yeah. Survival rating is 2 weeks. And your chubby little friend over there, he's going to barely last a week in there.
No, he'd be fine. We'll stick him in a chair.
She gestures to you, by the way, Billy. I don't know if you're actually fat, but she
And
calls
he's
you
lost
fat.
a lot of weight recently.
You get the impression Moth is quite athletic, and she's also quite a bit of a bully as you're starting to pick up the facts. So yeah. Adrian goes, Moth, just back to the car, okay? Yes. There are humans that live there. The town is a functioning city.
What?
If you look on any map, it appears. If you know it's there, if you don't, then it doesn't. So there are people there. The problem is, gestures to the desert, this place is in the middle of nowhere. There's a couple of some distributors that come out here, but it's basically embargoed by the agency.
So there's
Ever
nowhere
since-
to go if you get out and you're normal.
Yep.
And you can't get out if you're not normal.
That's what we thought. Until
So Aggie's going to take out her little book of shadows and start taking some notes. This is a new development.
yeah, he doesn't stop you. Yeah.
She doesn't take notes.
So this place was at first thought to be, well, basically the idea was similar to a thing that they had learned about called I'm going to fuck this up. Basically, I'm going to say it's a goo pot, but that's not what it's called. It's from Japan. The idea is you'd put a whole bunch of venomous creatures in there. They all kill each other, and then the one that comes out is clearly the most powerful. The hope the agency had was that everything that was getting sucked into that field would kill each other, and then there'd be no more paranormal things in the world, because in the 50s, that's what they thought was good for the world.
Which would make sense if you were dealing with unthinking, non-hierarchical entities, but
Yep.
you put packs and hierarchies and lords and minions.
Everything. Yep. Everything. Everything's in there. From
There's
your
a monster
vampires.
hierarchy.
Yes. And it's our job to make sure the city doesn't explode, because more things have been getting out, and the agency wants to know why.
Well, because they've been in there for 50 years and had the practice.
Well,
It only took me 3 years to break a time lock.
yeah. Well, that's why we're here. Agents don't live very long. And he does go to Billy. Billy, while you're not going to suffer the effects of most of your friends, humans don't do well if they're not vigilant. A lot of the people that live in there, well, they don't know what they're sharing their apartment block with. But
Yeah, but Billy's middle name is Vigilant.
yeah, just be careful, Billy. As an agent, things might go either well or terrible, depending on who you talk to. A lot of things have made
okay.
their home there.
Right. So the regular humans don't know it's a weird town.
No, it's a weird place, and probably only people who are brought in through whatever they are selling. People, the things in there need people, so they make ad campaigns, they put stuff out. We couldn't stop papers getting out, and as soon as they learned how to escape, and now with the internet, oh god, the internet, well, now ads online are coming up, and yeah, people move here. There's not much we can do, because
How
if
does the town get supplied?
Aggie, it was the 50s. They didn't want it to be supplied.
Yeah, but it's still there, so it must be getting supplied.
Well, that's another mystery to add to that. We know that they buy things, and a couple of trucks do rumble through, but yeah, a whole city being sustained on a couple of trucks is impractical. We don't know anything about there. As we said, most of the agents that go in there don't come out. The hope is that since all of you are on the periphery, it's possible that they won't immediately try and kill you. Look, we've got a new home to move to. Let's just get in the car. I just wanted to make sure you understood what we're getting into before we got in there. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sorry I couldn't say anything. Just-
Okay.
That's how
The agency. Learned a lot about the agency in the last week.
I imagine. Okay, everyone, let's get in and we'll drive in there.
Okay.
So, as you're driving in, you're getting closer and closer. Now, the sign, as you approach, once said New Haven. However, it doesn't say that anymore. Someone's painted over it. It reads St. Hecata now. And as you're driving into the city,
That would mean nothing to the others, presumably.
it would mean nothing to the others. Not even Anderson knows what that means. And as you drive in, it's a city. I mean, it's a shithole of a city. Well, actually, no, it's not. It's a very unchanged city. Now, none of you are particularly old, so you probably wouldn't pick up on this, but many cities at this point in the 90s in the US have gone through many changes. There's a big jump between the entire architecture industry from the 50s to the 90s. And most cities have gone through kind of an ugly duck phase where they've been slowly changed over time. That's not happened here. Like, if you were familiar with any pictures of the 1950s, it's like this place has just stepped out of there. What is more disconcerting after the description you've given is it looks pretty lively. Like there's people going about. Nobody waves to you because it's a city, and like any city where people wave to random passers-by is more strange than Saint Hecata. Okay, this is nice saying this. Any city I've been to, you're lucky if people don't shove you. But yeah, it's not vibrant, but it's also not desolate. Like you're probably seeing a couple hundred people as you're driving by, and this is just on the outskirts of the town. Now, Anderson has stated that he doesn't know how many people live here, human or otherwise, but yeah, it's pretty lively. You don't drive very far into the city. You're on the residential area, so kind of it seems bizarrely, even though they were making effectively what is a Potopkin city, so like a pretend one, they actually followed the 1950s policy of creating suburbs. So there is this kind of like residential area. But you kind of drive past that. You're driving more into the inner city where there's kind of more built up parts. You're not like in the city center, but kind of in that middle-y bit. So you drive through the suburbs area and you arrive at a series of, now I'm hoping I'm not mixing this type of building up, a brownstone. So that's where like they're like tenements. So
It's
like
like
lots
a
of
Georgian style
Yes.
townhouse.
I did try Americans to get your architecture right. I'm rubbish.
He's
at
done
your-
architecture twice, though.
I know. I've
Can you do
tried.
charcuterie?
Yes. Anyway, that's a reference. Anyway, it's brownstone, and it's at this point that finally poor Lewis's character actually shows up. So, Mr.
Aceman.
Aceman.
Yeah.
Aceman. You wake up. Now, this is weird for you because, like, you don't wake up. You wake up on a Sunday. Like, you clean the buildings, you take care of them, but you don't go inside them. You've not been inside the building, well, ever since, the previous owners came in and they were weird. Like, I mean, you're weird, but they were weird. And you like take care, but you keep the porch clean and you keep the stairs clean, and the pigeons are not allowed to shit there anymore since you showed them a thing or two. But you're awake, and there are people at property 97. Aggie and Billy.
It's unusual.
Yes. There is somebody who has exited the building next to it. Now, as Anson points out, this is property 97. It's a brownstone building. It has 3 floors, the ground floor, a first floor, and a second floor. And you see the bit down below, and that would be their basement. From the adjacent building to the left, which is right next to it, well, Lewis, describe your character. What does he look like?
Mr. Aceman is kind of short, fairly rotund, bald, with really deeply lined face, and wearing a pair of a set of overalls that says Aceman's HVAC. And yeah, I imagine he's looking over at the building and holding a big set of keys, like, oh, I haven't needed to use these.
Adrian Anderson, who I will describe kind of a tall, not tallish man, he's average in every capacity. Height, weight, physical features, everything. He just looks like a carbon copy, paste out. Now, you're familiar with this type of person. The suits, as you've called them, they show up every 5 years. They bought the property about 20 years ago, and every 5 years, like clockwork, they send some people. They ask you to let them in, and you let them in. You're not allowed to come in with them, which they're quite pointed about. Then they leave, and they don't come back. And that's all you really asked of them. But they are the current owners of the building. They bought it from, as I said, the previous owners, who were a whole thing. These guys are at least just normal asshole landholders, property owners. That's the word I'm looking for. So yeah, agent's like, yes, hello. We're here we're moving in today. Did you get the? Did anyone tell you we were
I-
coming?
I didn't. I'll look at a little digital watch. Be like, there's another 2 days and 15 minutes on this.
Oh, sorry. We may have come a bit early. I think Portia came down? Agent Portia, she came down to no, okay. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. It's
Been a busy month.
okay. Well, I'm sorry. Well, if we could we have the keys to go in?
Yeah, sure. I'll let you in.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
I got rid of the rats.
Oh,
So-
thank you. Yeah.
That should be solved. If
Oh,
you have
that's
any more
nice.
trouble with them, let me know.
Oh, you're not coming
I
in?
have. Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. Come on. Yeah.
Don't think I've been in before, but sure.
But you're the superintendent. Do you not go in?
Where does the caretaker not go
I
in?
usually take care of the outside.
Oh.
The inside's more of a. Well, it's the inside, and you people usually like to
It's the Adams family.
keep the
Okay.
inside.
I didn't even think of the Adams family, but now that you said that, my mind is like, oh my god.
Sorry, he's Uncle Fester.
Yeah.
Billy is kind
well-
of. He's kind of got it in his head there's going to be monsters everywhere and a werewolf's just going to jump out of nowhere and get him. So he's very
there are
nervously
people.
looking around.
It is like middle of a work day, so
Yeah.
there's some like maybe older folks out and about, but this is a residential area. It's a little bit it looks a little bit gentrified, which doesn't even make sense because that shouldn't be a concept here.
Yeah.
But it looks like only people with a lot more money could afford to live here, as opposed to say more out in the suburbs or maybe further out to the city. So there's not like tons of people out and about. It looks fairly normal. There's like some pigeons that are giving the caretaker a really like weird eye, like
And point at the pigeons as well and like glare at them.
they glare back. It's hard to imagine pigeons glaring, but they somehow pull it off. But maybe there's a dog walker. They don't really say hi, but then again, in what city do people go, "Hey, how you doing?" Yeah. Only in that's the true fantasy. But yeah, do you guys all go in, or do you kind of hover around? What do you do?
I'll go in. That's what Anderson wants us
Open
to
up.
do. He's in charge.
Okay.
Up the locks. It's
Perfect.
a
Yeah.
whole set of.
Yep. Oh, there's a lot of locks on this door. The previous owners were quite insistent on that.
Like going through keys.
And also, to add extra, you've got another set of keys for all the doors inside because they also insisted on getting locks fitted for that as
Yeah.
well.
None of the locks on the doors. They're all different locks. I've numbered most of them, but I haven't been in, so I
Yeah,
couldn't.
the previous superintendent dealt with that
Yeah.
stuff, but he went when the previous owners went.
There's a list, and I'll pull out like out of a satchel tool bag, like a piece of very, very crumpled paper with half written list of like this door is that lock, this door is that.
Do you show it to Aggie and Billy, the list of paper you have? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll hand it to whoever takes it out of
So-
my hand.
Well, Adrian will take it. He'll show it to you guys. Basically, it says that there are 5 floors. Yeah, 5 floors. 5 rooms on each of the floors. So 5 on the first floor, 5 on the second floor. The ground floor has basically a kind of, well, you go in, and it's a bit weird. It's a little bit like, well, actually, I just fucking said that part super nonchalantly, but realizing this is like just supposed to be a little house, and it has a lot more room inside. Like, this is a foyer in here, not a very fancy one. Like, it's a waiting kind of area. There's a little reception desk, there's some chairs bolted to the wall, but this room would not fit in the building that you just went into. And as I've said now, which I'm going to add emphasis, there are supposedly 5 rooms on the first floor and 5 rooms on the second floor, and there's a roof that you can access, and there's a basement. And all of those sound way too big to fit in the building you just entered. But hey, non-liminal spaces, So yeah,
Yeah.
Anderson.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the space cockroach spaces.
So Anderson is getting the 4 agents to help him bring your stuff in, and he's just bringing stuff in. And this is the GM saying that from now on, that is what he is doing. So he is not. He gives you the keys. I mean, he says to you.
Are we Bagsying rooms? Are these guys staying here too?
Yes, they're staying here too, but they're busy doing stuff. So you can bag. Well, I mean, it depends, Mr. Superintendent. You have the keys, and Anderson has literally just been like done the.
Okay, you know what? Hey,
Shall we find
Mr.
Ace
Handyman?
Man?
Ace Man. Ace Man, that's kind of a cool name. Could you give us a tour? I mean, you've never been inside, but you
can open the doors.
Idea
Sure.
of what's there. Yeah, that'd be great. Come on, Billy. Let's pick a room.
Yeah,
So, well,
okay.
there's rooms on the. So, where are you going? Because there's a basement. There's the ground floor that you're on that has rooms. There's the first floor and the second floor.
I'm torn. Do I want the basement
And the roof.
or do I want the top floor so I have roof access? I don't know.
The basement probably borders on my basement, and my basement can get a bit loud sometimes.
Billy, you get the basement.
I will say this as well, Mr. Aceman.
Yeah.
This is not what your building looks like. Your building looks like a normal building. This is far too big. Like your
It's a lot bigger than mine.
Yeah.
How did I end up with that?
Yeah. I mean, yours is a nice place, but
Do the stairs lift up?
The stairs are quite
Is there
conventional.
a dragon in the oven?
So where are you
not.
wanting to go? Because there's 2 doors in where you are currently. So there's one that kind of goes behind where the reception desk is, which you're not really sure what that is, and there's another door to
Well,
the.
you know what?
to the
Let's
left.
start at the top and work our way down.
Okay.
That way we won't be in other people's way as they move stuff.
Okay.
Okay,
So you
it's
want to
kinda
go to the
sensible.
roof?
Sure.
Yeah,
roof is
let's
accessible.
go and give those pigeons the evil eye.
Okay. So you go up there, Aceman, as you are like.
So I open the door. I'm gonna pull out my wrench in
Well, this
case
is the
any
first
pigeons
thing.
get too close.
As you pull the key, you realize this is the oldest one. It's also the most worn. You weren't really given a lot of information about the previous owners. They were supposedly into some pretty weird stuff, but you never really thought about it. That changes because as you open it, the 3 of you are greeted to the sight of a very, very deceased corpse, which has been pinned to the roof, as in like the floor of the open, because you're on the roof now, like you're out in the fresh air. Yeah, it's been pinned. Someone has driven railroad spikes through the palms and feet. And they're open. They're very desiccated. There's very little left of the, organs or eyeballs. That's all been picked clean. But the corpse is still there. There is what probably was some kind of ritualistic circle drawn, but it was probably drawn in chalk or blood or something. That's gone. The corpse is the only thing left. But yep, that's there. Aside from that, it's actually quite nice up here. A little bench, maybe some plants.
I'm just gonna take a look at that because
No,
we get this thing
don't
now,
touch,
and
don't touch.
well, I'm not gonna touch it. They reach into the satchel bag, pull out like a technical manual, basically, and start flipping through it. Can I roll investigate?
Yes, you can. I was just trying to remind myself which one it is, if it's investigate or read bad situation. I think it's
either
investigate.
one is fine by me.
Investigate a mystery, please, if you could.
That would be a 9.
Okay, so you hold one question. Do you need to read them out, or do you have the questions in front of you?
Yeah, I have them. What is being concealed here seems the most, other than what happened here, but
So
seems odd.
you're flipping through your technical manual, and What is the technical manual like? I'm now very intrigued what it is. Is it actual?
It looks like any kind of technical manual that you'd get with like a boiler or an air conditioning unit.
Okay.
But you flip through it and it has pages on a bunch of creatures.
Okay, I like that. I actually
So-
really like
but
that. That's awesome.
It looks like it. You know, it
Ames
just
manual to the
says.
supernatural.
Yeah, it just
Yeah,
says generically just says technical manual on the outside.
perfect. So your manual actually, you turn to an interesting page, which talks about a common like faux pas that people make when dealing with rituals. A lot of people get very fixated on the whole like, yes, the great circle and the sacrifice and stuff. But there's actually something that people don't take into consideration, which is the cleanup. As silly as that sounds, I like the idea that yours is like a very like a man in his 40s, bald with like a big white, not white, sorry, like a brown bushy, like has his own show like in his garage kind of thing. So he's saying that cleanups are really important. So a lot of people, and this is the concealed thing that you find, often put just a little rune just on the side, and if you slash through that, it will remove all evidence of what you've done. The thing that you notice that's quite interesting is that rune is still there and it's unslashed. So the ritual was never completed, and it means that everything that's now missing was done through natural, like rain and ice and snow and all that kind of stuff. It just what's
Yeah, just
pigeons. Yeah, the pigeons are definitely giving you eyes now.
That just makes
No,
me
I'm
hate the
with you on the
pigeons
pigeon
more.
side
Now I
now.
know there's.
It's like
something up with
tigers.
the
Once they've
pigeons.
tasted human flesh, you've got to
Yeah.
put them down.
That's why I've got the wrench.
So it seems that this ritual was not disposed of in the normal fashion. It was disposed, well,
It
normal by
yeah.
supernatural means.
Looks like it was on point at the ruin. It was never cleaned up properly. That
You
might give
think?
us a chance to take a look and see what was happening, though. Because
Okay, well, let's put a pin in that, because this is only the first place we've been, and there are still
I love the idea
16
that
more
Billy's
rooms.
just like,
We should probably do something about the.
Yeah, we will. But 16 more rooms, Billy.
I mean, I'll add it to my maintenance list. Don't worry about it.
get rid of
Just like
corpse.
write it down on it.
Billy's still processing City full of monsters, and he's looking for
It'll
like
be fine,
flying
Billy. It'll be
werewolves
fine.
now.
We'll put you in the basement. It'll be the safest room.
How, just as a quick one, how old does this body look like it's been there? Can Billy ascertain like?
Give me a acting pressure, because that's a very weird niche thing that someone would need to know.
I'm
But
going to
you can
use
certainly roll sharp on it.
I'm going to use my new abilities. Say like I've read books on corpses.
For context, you can just use that. It's not something you have to call on.
Oh, I thought I'd have to justify it, so I can't just do it
Nope.
all the time.
No.
Okay.
Acting under pressure literally is just something that would require you to act under pressure. Like, that's why I use it for general knowledge.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to pull a piece of information from your brain on the fly, and that's difficult to do. What was that, sorry?
12.
12. So
He's back, baby.
Yeah, so you've read quite a lot about corpses for reasons that are totally normal. And there's a couple of things that immediately strike you. The first thing is that it has gone through most of the states of putrefaction, and it's gone, like it's a very gone corpse. However, something that's a little bit strange is that it doesn't seem to have been touched by anything. Now that's weird. One of the key things that they tell you when they're, and this is actually like, this is Nye now giving his lesson of the day. One of the very crucial aspects of criminal investigation is insects, because you can work out exactly when someone died by the state of the maggot pupa from flies. This is the weird thing.
A-level biology. You check the instars of the maggot shells, maggot casings.
Yeah. Yep. Here's the thing. Nothing has touched this body. This is decayed, like bacteria have, because bacteria don't give any fucks about paranormal stuff. They'll eat. But no flies, no birds, not even a really
You
hungry
sure
squirrel.
the pigeons?
Yeah, no, it's quite sure. And that's weird.
Hmm.
It seems that any living thing with a degree of sense has completely avoided touching this. And that is strange. It has decomposed though, because as I said, bacteria don't care about the laws of
Ooh.
paranormality.
Ooh, can I go and check this thing's teeth?
Yes.
Are they normal?
Yeah, fairly normal. I mean,
Oh.
they're missing a couple. They probably didn't take great
No, I was looking for
care of
these
their
ones
teeth.
in particular.
No, there's no vampire teeth. No.
So they really didn't need to railway spike this guy to the roof. It looks like it was just a normal guy.
I will give you this, Billy. He died alive. Like, he was alive when the spikes were punched through his hands and feet.
Yay.
Definitely died of.
What?
I'm not going to.
Yeah, up to you, Billy. Do you want to keep investigating the corpse, or should we go and look at the other 16 rooms and see if we can get a whole set?
Oh, now Billy's thinking there might be a corpse in every room, so
It could be.
we should
And
maybe.
that might give us more clues to help us with this one.
Yeah, we should check and let someone downstairs know this is here and figure that out.
Sure.
After you've finished those 16 rooms, what are you going to do about... and I'll just sort of nod in the direction of the city.
Oh, what? The city?
Probably more corpses out there.
Yeah, I imagine so. Well, let's go one room at a time, okay?
That is actually a question, which I, the GM, don't know, the storyteller. What does I'm gonna fuck your name up.
Ace Man.
Ace Man.
It's like Ace Man.
Ace
Man.
Aceman. How active is Aceman outside? Like, obviously, you diligently take care of the building and you do eat and things, but outside of that, do you go into the city very often?
Like if I can play into the background I created for them, I imagine his little van is parked next to the building as well, and he frequently goes and fixes problems in the city with boilers and gas leaks and
Exactly. Yeah. I'll say this then: there are lots of corpses in the city. Some of them intentional, some of them not.
might have made some of them.
Yeah, exactly. So, you want to go down? Are you telling anybody about this, or are you just gonna?
We're
come
going to
back
start a list because, the first place we looked had a corpse. Let's not go running up and down the stairs every time we find a dead body.
Aceman adds it to his list. It is not the first thing on the list. Halfway
Get
down
my
the
big
no.
list of rooms
Right.
now open because you're saying you're going through every single one of them. No, I'm joking. It's fine. Okay, so are you legitimately going to go through each of the rooms systematically, or are you just kind of picking one at random?
No, I think systematically going through all the rooms now.
Okay, so you want to go into room 16, I presume, because that is
Well,
the
whatever the
furthest-
first one is from the roof, we'll go into that one.
I envisioned it that the staircase is right up the middle, but I will say for simplicity, you would probably start at the furthest end room because the 5 rooms are 2 on one side and 3 on the other, which is also strange because it seems that the building is very asymmetrical, which is not how building design works, but this building is for whatever reason. So
Does
2
it look
rooms,
asymmetrical from the outside, or
Nope.
does it look
It's
like
a brownstone,
looks
so
very
it's in a terrace.
symmetrical
It
from the
can't.
Yeah,
from the
it can't.
outside. It looks very
Unless the rooms are
symmetrical.
different sizes for the 2 and the 3, which
Yeah,
they're
there's
not, are they?
2. There's 2 on that side.
Are the 2
on the
rooms bigger
left.
than the 3 rooms?
They appear to look bigger, just based on you've not gone in yet.
Okay.
On the
Yeah,
left
let's
hand
go into
side,
the rooms
on the
and
left hand
check 'em.
side there are 2 doors, and on the right hand side there are 2 that go outwards that way and 1 that way. Again, this should not be possible because the building just is not big enough to hold houses or
Right,
rooms.
we'll start
that
at
way.
16 and
Okay.
count down.
So yeah, you pull the little key out. You will note that Aceman, that when you pull the 16 key, all the room keys actually have little decorations on them. It's quite sweet. This one has a little crown on it, and you're like, oh, that's nice. The crown pokes you a little bit as you grab it. It feels a bit sharp, but it doesn't like break the skin or anything. I'm sure that's nothing to worry about. Yeah, pop the key in and yeah, roll it, and you go in. And yes, to answer your question, Aggie, the room is not realistic to what the building could feasibly sustain. When you go in, it is very lavish. This is probably a very expensive room, far more than you would expect in a building of this age and size.
Is it dusty?
It's not dusty, no.
You've never been in here, Mr. Aceman.
Didn't really ever like the last owners.
Yes, so who
I'm
does the
keen
dusting?
on people coming in. So I just did the outer shell, kept everything clean.
But you missed the
made
roof.
sure nothing gets in. Well, you know, you have to get in to get at the roof, or
There is no
climb
fire
over,
escape,
or
by the way. No,
Yeah.
I did research this. They did have fire escapes pre-50s. For whatever reason, the agency was just like, fuck this, there's no fire escape on some of these buildings. Or the weirdo owners tore it down. You're not too sure. But there was only, you could only get to the roof from the inside.
like the house next to it has a fire escape.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, no, I like that, yeah.
The one on the other side also has a fire
You're
escape.
starting to
It's
think
just
that the
this one.
superintendent did a really bad job of maintaining the safety standards of this building. The corpse may have been a
So super lavish room.
super lavish. So the rooms themselves are not very complicated. One thing you notice is none of them have kitchens. They don't have an internal like means of making food. You do look on the list and there does appear to be a food preparation area on the ground floor. That was one of the doors that you passed. And that's like a proper like big kitchen. So what you do find in here is 2 rooms. One of them is a bedroom. You're in the other room, which is like a kind of living room. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. Like a lounge kind of, like
A
an
receiving
apartment.
room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you walk in and like it's, yeah. And then there's also another door, which I will say, Aceman, it's like a bathroom. Like, all the rooms have bathrooms. You know what's supposed to be in here. They gave you the decency of telling you that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what's supposed to be here. You've just never been inside.
Oh my God,
So-
Paz is going to go ape shit for this room. If there is a 4-poster bed, isn't there?
There is a 4-poster bed. When you go in the bedroom, it's amazing. You get a weird sensation that you should take your shoes off. Do you comply with that sensation?
It's new.
Well, you don't have to. You're not compelled. But you get a kind of like, man, this carpet's so nice. I probably should take my shoes off.
Yeah, Paz
I've
is
got-
going to like this.
I've got safety boots on, so I'm not
So
taking them off.
So the lounge
Too much
area
hassle.
is designed very late 1970s. So shag carpet is where everyone who actually lived in the 70s is like, that's not how it was now, and I'm going to have to apologize because I had to design 16 rooms. So please forgive me. It's very lavish, little bit tacky nowadays, but for the time it was inhabited, probably was quite swanky. And if you go in the bedroom, it's 4-postered. It's very lavish. There's lots of silk, and it's immaculate. Like it's barely like it has been lived in. It feels like that. It feels like a showroom. The bathroom is also exquisite. Again, the bathroom is not a realistic size. Like, you're really quickly learning that the geography of this building is impossible. Like, it just cannot work unless they're screwing around with space.
Non-Euclidean geometries.
Do you guys actively look around in here, or are you just kind of like walking around? Yeah.
I think Billy's more like,
Wait.
well, there's no corpse in here, so there's that's good. So there's
Well,
probably.
As far as you know.
This is this is a skeletons in the cupboard kind of room.
Oh,
They're not going to leave the corpses out in front in a place like this. This is going to be the body of the widow's dead children are hidden under the floorboards in the cupboard.
I'm going to make a default thing here. If you want to look around the rooms, you can either do a investigate a mystery, or you can do an act under pressure. And that's the 2 things you're going to do when you go in any of the rooms, because we don't have all night, so we'll probably have to cut some of them. But yeah. So yeah, if you want to do any of that stuff, that's fine. If you're not, then we'll say you leave the room.
Okay, I'm going
you
to
want to
investigate a mystery.
Investigate a mystery then.
No, I'm not.
Well, mark experience if you failed.
if
Oh, I failed.
Billy won't. If it just
3,
looks like a
4,
nice room, then that's.
5. Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Aceman's gonna act under pressure.
Oh, okay.
I can also. I think I've read about something like this,
Yeah, of course you have.
which is convenient because that's a 10.
Ooh. So what you find is, well, I mean, you're a maintenance guy. You have to actually keep this place clean. So you're probably actually investigating like, oh man, this is going to be a pain. Like this is a fire hazard. And as you're poking around, you find you're kind of poking into the person's bed, and you pull out a small journal, for lack of a better word. Now, this is interesting because as you guys have kind of been poking around, you've noticed that the place has been kept pretty clean, both in the literal sense, but also in the sense of this place doesn't really have a lot of possessions in here. And Esmond, I would say that you are smart enough to realize the agency probably has picked this place clean, but they've missed this journal. Now, flicking through it, it's quite extensive, so you'd probably have to sit down and actually read through it to get the full gist of it. But reading the first entry, it appears that this individual went by the name of Nancy, and Nancy has written down, the first entry is that she has arrived in this new city. It appears that not many people know about this place, and she and the children are excited to be here. She had to squabble a little bit with some of the other children, but she did manage to get this room, and that the father and the mother are most pleased with their acclimatization to the area. And that is the word they use. That's not a nigh weird word was used, foible. That is the exact words that she uses.
I think, yeah, Aceman's gonna be like, well, this seems like this won't end up being a problem later. I should probably read that at some point. I'll put in my satchel with. Unless any of you are speed readers.
No.
I actually don't know. I don't think that's a skill.
No, but
I'll say
you know.
you'd have to that would have to be a
Established
sit down.
canon. Sort
I
of
think Aceman's plan is to take it back to his library and study it there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fair
Aggie's
enough.
still rooting around the bottom of the cupboard. Can't find anything.
Just unless you didn't hear that, Aggie, this place has been picked clean. And as Aceman will tell you, because I feel like Aceman's nice enough
Yeah.
to say, it's likely the agents picked this place. Oh, sorry, I've got a bit of a sneeze fest going on here. They would have probably picked this place
It's the shag
quite
carpet.
clean. Yeah, it is. But yeah, this is remarkably well kept from dust. And yeah, do you share what you find, Aceman? With
Yeah,
the other
yeah,
two?
I think so.
So yeah,
As-
you read the same thing about Nancy, the children, and mother and father, and them kind of coming here.
Oh, that's so creepy.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
that's not going to come back to bite you.
upside,
in
Billy,
the ass.
no dead bodies. So we've reduced the total body count to 50-50.
Yeah.
All right, let's check 15.
Okay.
Should we
So-
split up to look at the rooms, or?
It's up to you.
No, I guess it
The
doesn't make
keys-
any
the
odds,
keys
does it
can
really?
come
No,
off the
we'll
key
stay
ring,
together
they're
and just
not-
poke our heads in. It's fine.
They are like you can't take the keys off the keyring if you wanted to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I can give
Well,
you a
let's-
set
let's
of keys.
stick
and-
together.
No, we'll
for now.
stick together and go through. I think that makes more sense. Yeah.
Okay. So you're opening
Just in
15.
case there's
done
an
this
angry
before.
werewolf in one of the rooms. I'd feel really bad if it was the room that you opened and I didn't.
Okay.
Mhm.
So 15 is a little sword. Each of the keys are shaped into something, and this is a little sword. So
I have one of those.
click that in and turn, and you enter. This is again a very bizarre room. So again, they are all rooms that people would sleep in. However, this one is vastly different from the previous one. This is first off very Spartan, and I don't mean that in that it's barren. I mean it literally looks like
It would suit
Spartan
a
warrior.
Spartan.
There is very little here. The opening kind of area is actually like barren. There's no carpet. There's nothing. It's a wood floor. The walls are just plain wallpaper. It looks like someone made an effort to make this as barren and devoid of aesthetic and design as possible.
This feels like
This is
Ichabod's
like one of
room.
those theme hotels, isn't it? And yeah, you're not wrong. This is Ichabod's room.
There are no chairs, nothing. I like to imagine they do have like a little what's the thing? Like it goes there's a little depression, so like you start on like a little bit and then you walk down into the living room kind of area. There's nothing though. Like there's not even furniture. Whereas
This is like
completely
dojo room, training floor.
possibly. The bedroom has nothing either. There's no bed. There is nothing. There looks like there would have been things to put on the wall, like little hooks that may have held things, but there's nothing on there apart from a yew sword, like a wooden sword. And
Yeah, this is Ichabod's room. This is totally Ichabod's room. I am going to come in here and put a picture of a kitten on the wall at some point.
But it is barren. You go to the bathroom. It's a bathroom. And that is all. The less said about that bathroom, the better. It doesn't have hot water. It just has cold water.
Wow.
I think
Ichabod
Aceman's
can
gonna
keep that
stick
one.
his head into the bathroom and like start writing a note on his maintenance list.
Oh, there's a lot here. And
Like,
what's quite obvious
that's
is the
another-
person purposefully did this. This is not even like what the building would have looked like if nobody decorated it. It has been turned into this.
Okay, 14.
Okay. So 14, you open
Do we
it.
know about the markings on the keys, by the way, or is that just Mr. Usman who's known that?
I mean, you can
Well,
see them.
I mean, yeah, I suppose I'll show
He's
you it,
waggling them
or
at
at
us.
least,
or just
yeah.
like,
Yeah, feel like this one
I
had a
always
sword,
assume-
and there was a sword in the room.
I operate
figure.
on the the good conduct of if the players explicitly say they're keeping something from each other,
Okay.
then that's
Yeah.
when it happens. If nobody says anything, I presume they're all sharing it. I think that's just the right thing to do. So this one has a little bear. It's like a little teddy bear kind of thing on it. And when you open it,
it's a room full of bears?
No, it's
Do you
a
want to go
room.
first, Billy?
Ah! No, you go in there, and this is a Toys R Us kid's dream. The entire living room is full of bears. And not bears, but soft toys. There's every kind of soft toy that you could possibly imagine. It's still a space that someone can walk into, but there are so many that's actually like a little bit like suffocating. Like
It's just
if you
downright
turn
creepy.
too quickly, you'll knock a couple off
Yeah.
of like a bookshelf that they're on. When you go into the actual living room area, there is furniture, but it's covered in them. When you go into the bedroom, my word, it's a princess bed with about 100 variously sized soft toys. There's one particularly big one that sits in the corner. It actually sits like this. It's like a big bear, like the Costco bear, which is like giant, just kind of sits.
I think I prefer
If
the
it
roof.
moves, I'm setting fire to this room.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
I will say this is a huge fire hazard because these are like, again, 1970s toys. So they're all full of the very hot burning plastic.
This is too much. This is too much for.
I mean, they
anybody
might all be
we know.
made out of asbestos.
Maybe we should save this for Leopold.
What's on all of the like, and I will say it's decorated very much in a generic girls' room. I don't really like that because I feel that's silly. But yeah, it's
What the 1950s would have considered a
no
girl's
1970s. 'cause the previous
1970s
owners-
traditional
yeah.
girl's bedroom.
Exactly, yeah. But this is blown into overdrive. Actually, this kind of leans a little bit more into the 80s, you feel, because it's very, like, a lot of the toys. I don't know toy brands. If you come back into this room, I'll have toy brands. I don't know. I also want us to wait, like, can you imagine if Thai beanies are just like, no! You are sued now for using our likeness. But yeah, it's one of those things. And there are collections. Like, it's not just a big pile of random toys. There's like a collection aspect to it. So yeah, there's one.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel
Leopold's
like
room.
we should definitely lock this one again.
Yeah.
I mean, I presume you're locking all of them. Just leave them open.
Actually, I don't like this room. I'm gonna roll. It's not really a mystery though. Read a bad situation.
Bad situation.
Check
You
none of the
tell me.
bears move.
That's
Oh God, it's the toys from Akira.
Oh no. Whoa.
a 7.
A 7.
Just
So you
scrape
get
through.
1.
Yeah. Wait.
Is what the hell, man? A fair question.
I mean, if you'd gotten a... Well, actually, did they get... Yeah, you can ask any
What?
question. If you've gotten a 12 plus.
It was a 7, so yeah. Are there any dangers we haven't noticed?
Ignoring the obvious fire hazard, something that you
Hmm.
quickly realize, you're kind of... There's this particular pile, and you kind of are looking at it, and there's something off about it. It's piled in a very particular way. This is in the living room, and you're staring at it, and you're like, no, something's wrong. So you go over, and you push a couple of the toys away, and you push a couple of others, and you're greeted by a skeleton.
Oh man. Okay, Billy, you win
Yeah.
this round.
Um,
66. No, still
add-
50-50.
Add
Do you want
that one
you
to the
want
list.
Touch the skeleton.
I'm not going to touch the skeleton, but
Is it
I
a
might
full-sized
investigate
skeleton?
the skeleton.
Is it an actual skeleton,
let
or is it
someone
like a?
else investigate.
Is it like a fake plastic science skeleton?
Well, that's what I'm asking. Yeah, you like get close enough to look. It's not a roll. I'm just like,
Oh,
Look at it, but not.
yeah. Billy
touch it.
will.
okay. Yes, it's a plastic one. It's pretend. It's not a real skeleton. You don't know why it's here, but yeah.
Phew.
I will say for your role, because you specifically asked Aceman, this looks like if the owner of the room was here, this looks like, having seen the skeleton and realizing it's fake, this looks like a prank. It looks like someone intentionally did this to spook whoever was in this room. So, like, the toys were left in such an awkward place, likely because they would go, what's going on here? Go over like, ah! And that's what you assume happened. But it is, you know, a danger because, yeah, you wouldn't want to be clearing this room out and find a fucking thing that looks like a skeleton. That's terrifying. So, yeah, it's a danger of sorts.
Okay.
Dangerous to our cardiovascular system.
Exactly. Yeah. And the fire safety, because this would go up like a tinder box.
To be honest,
yeah.
fire is also a danger to your cardiovascular system.
It is indeed, yeah.
And
That being
everything
said, I
else.
feel like a lot of the rooms in here are fire safety hazards. Well, apart from the room 14. No, 15. Yeah.
Depends how varnished the wood was.
That's true. I guess it wasn't. Do you think the person in there was varnishing the wood? No, that's been allowed to
Okay.
splinter. Got to wear shoes in there. Not that they would. Okay. So I will say this. We're probably going to go for another 15 minutes. So are you wanting to be more selective with your rooms, or are you wanting to keep going systematically? You have 2 more on this floor. Do you want to do those 2, and then we'll kind of...
I think we need to check those 2 rooms.
Okay, that's totally fine. So
Plus,
you're
I
on...
really want to see what's in 13.
Yeah, I was
because
thinking 13 as well. If I
I
had
have
to pick,
a really good vibe about 13.
if you said we only get to pick one room in the whole house, I'd have picked room 13.
Okay, so room 13 is a... I almost forgot the word there. A pentagram. And a satanic one. It's upside down. It's an upside down one. I think that the satanic ones are upside down, right?
Yeah, they're usually
That was kind
inverted.
of bullshit, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you open the room
Yeah.
and you go in.
Reluctantly.
This is very different from the room you've just been in. It is coated in I am a teenager having a rebellious angst. Because there is everything in here that somebody doesn't want their kid to have. So there's a lot of satanic imagery. I will say, though, to all of you who actually have to live in the supernatural world, this is all tap. Like, you know, Satan doesn't look anything like these things here. It's all... There's a lot of
He's got a beard.
bands, metal bands and the such. those of the 70s. Once again, a little bit 80s coming in, but not very often, mostly late 70s. There's also one thing you know, looks like a place where there would have been something hanging, like kind of like a little dolly. And I'll say, because you actually looked in the room, this is probably where the skeleton was. And it's tons of stuff. I will say that this person, again, because you're all people, and Aggie especially, this reads a lot like someone who doesn't really have a core identity outside of rebelling. So there's a lot of stuff going on. It is mostly occult, though. Like, there's a lot of occult stuff here, but it's a mess of beliefs, identities, backgrounds. Some of it is very low-key real, like very, very,
But
very...
it's more like they got that on luck rather than design.
Yeah, exactly. There's a couple of things here that actually are real. Most of it is bullshit. Like, and Billy, I'll even say this. I mean, you are a hardcore conspiracy theorist. There's some stuff in here that makes you cringe. You're like, oof, somebody believing in that? Really? Wow. Yeah. When you go in the bedroom, it is again a kind of similar thing. One thing you do know is it does have a little terrarium, and there's scorpions, and they're quite alive. Like, they're not like doing anything harm.
Have you been
They're just
feeding these, Mr. Aceman?
No, I haven't been in or up here, so
that is something else I'll note. You've noted this is probably actually quite a few of the rooms been power in the water is still running, which is a bit unusual, but I will say it's not that unusual. And yes, the little terrarium is still running. The bed, I will note, all the beds sans 15 have been four-posted, been quite lavish. This one is all decked out in black, and it's like edgy and cool.
Well, I think we can safely say this is my room. I can work with this. Obviously, there's a lot of crap that needs to be cleared out in here. So, I'll take the key for this one. Thanks. I guess that
I knew it.
Yeah,
and Billy was
sure.
entirely thinking, but not going to say it out loud. Like, this is Aggie's room.
I mean, I know some local people who do redecorating and stuff.
No.
I think a lot of this needs.
I will say,
oh my God.
Aceman, they have covered a lot of that build, so that's not on you. That's on the agency. Anderson's
this music
wallet is going to
collection.
hurt again. Oh yeah,
it's
there's
painful.
albums in here, and it's like, oh boy. Again, also, it's a little bit scattershot. Like, this person clearly tried a lot of subgenres, never really sticking with one. So yes. And are you guys heading to room 12?
Give Aggie the key as
16,
well for room
15,
13.
14,
Yeah, 'cause that's
13, 12. Yeah, 12 is the last one up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll finish off the floor.
Did the roof as well now.
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the other room that they've been to? So, 12. 12 is a little light bulb. And it's like, I should note, they may have been painted at one point, but they're not anymore. But maybe this one was painted, like little chips of yellow. So you go in here, and this is quite different. So as soon as you step inside, there are quite a lot of wires on the ground, and they're all leading to the bedroom. The living room has pretty much been converted into a place of wires and things. And this is what I'm going to say. You're not sure what things. They're electrical with buttons and keyboards and monitors. But what it actually all comes to, I will say this again. This is probably more for Billy. This looks like a setup that would make sense to the person that made it. You would probably need a bit of time to sit down. It kind of looks like a big surveillance room because there's lots of monitors and there's keyboards. But again, unless this person had like 12 arms that were really long and stretchy, they're not going to be able to get to every single monitor and thing at the same time. So they're probably moving around. When you go into the bedroom, there is a bed, but it's tiny. And this is mostly dominated by a very large computer setup, which looks modern. And this is probably the first modern thing you've seen. However, it doesn't look like a brand of anything. This is all custom. Also, the bathroom has been gutted. Like, there's not a bathroom here anymore. This is entirely now a room for all of the heat exchange and basically where all of the really sensitive equipment would go.
What buckets are for, right, Billy?
There's really a bathroom down the hall.
Yeah, I don't know why in my head when I was creating the rooms, I was like, I don't feel like this person would have a bathroom. And I stuck with it. And I reread it this morning. I was like,
jars and jars and jars of
I
their
don't
own
know
urine
why.
on the shelves.
No, there's not that. It's series. I will say, actually, no, I won't say that because that would require a roll. So I'm going to leave that part quiet. But yep, that's the room. I will say it's not the living room one. I should note now that I've said it out loud. It's not like it's one system. It's lots of systems all kind of cobbled together.
Does it look like lots
That
of
room is not as
projects?
modern.
Billy would like to investigate this room, I think.
Yeah, no bother.
Yeah.
Investigate mystery or
Yeah, investigate mystery. See what's going on. Where are these wires going? What sort of projects were they up to?
okay.
Oh! I just rolled 11 plus 3. That's like 14.
Wow. So you may ask the keeper any question you want about the mystery, not just the listed ones. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Mini room. That's why it's there. Do any of the projects look dangerous? Like they would be a danger to people.
So I'll say for Aggie and Aceman, are you wanting to stay in the room? Because Billy is like parking himself down and he's starting to look at stuff, getting his laptop out. Are you wanting to hang around to see what he does, or are you wanting to move on? What would they be doing?
We're going to buy him a wheelie chair for this room, I guess.
Yeah,
think
it
there
looks
might
like
be one
they may have
downstairs,
had
but-
one here prior, but
Yeah.
it was either confiscated or something. And that's the first thing you notice, Billy, as you're kind of getting in systems. They did try and remove this. However, like there's places where like things have been pulled on, there's areas where things have been scratched, as someone has clearly taken tools to this. This is integrated to the building, though. This person spent a lot of time building the infrastructure for this, and they would have to destroy it to remove it from the building. The computer, not so much, but when you go into the bedroom to check that, all of the actual data is gone from that. It's not like they've wiped that. It's still a functioning computer setup, almost cutting edge, but again, it's made from parts that are quite outdated. It's quite bizarre, actually. It's like they kind of really stretched the technology of the late 1970s to suit what would be now a mid 1990s computer power, which is terrifying, suffice to say, and that's definitely bordering on something unnatural. But when you start booting up the big system that's in the living room, you do get some worrying stuff. What this is that seems to be a program which is monitoring what's going on in the city. And you don't get a lot of time. But there's some bad shit on here. It looks like the agents tried to break it down, but they couldn't. Evidently, this was just not a code they were familiar with. But you actually know this. So you're kind of going through the programs. The initial stuff is for the house. And yeah, it notes that there's a couple of dead bodies in here. It isolates the rooms. You can give them that. It also notes that there is definitely some bad stuff going on in here. Basically, it's giving you like a little readout. There's actually a little thing that's printing off a little like paper readout, but it's also on the digital monitor. Why they have both, you don't know. And it's pretty bad. It's literally systematically going through each room and it's giving red negatives on every single one of them. It looks like it's monitoring the people that used to live here. It does ask for a new admin.
Hey, Billy. Would you like to play a game?
Do you say that you would like to be the new admin, or do you?
Yeah. Billy will set himself as new admin.
So as you do that, it then gives you a fuck ton of information, like all 12 of the monitors that are in this room all flick on, and there's a lot of information that's going through. It's dumping the last 20 years of information on you all at once. You'll actually, again, similar to the journal that Aceman found, you're gonna have to sit down and really go through this. It's not good. You're like catching phrases like the cult of the bloodied god have done X, Y, and Z, and it literally says X, Y, and Z.
I'm going to go to the door and shout down the stairs, "Stop!"
There's things about
gonna
vampires,
tear off that
mages,
readout and put it in my maintenance
well,
report.
you're pulling. You're
Yeah,
it's
like,
printing off the entire 20 years. So
need
it's
to
just
look
going.
at that.
It is at this moment that Stanley Anderson does come up, and he's like, "What, Aggie? Whoa,
House is magic.
Okay, wow.
We've done the roof and this top floor.
Okay.
We found one body.
Richly murdered dead body on the roof.
Oh
Couple
shit!
are-
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, we're just getting started.
Oh fuck!
Clean it
Okay,
up, like-
right. All right. Okay. Yeah.
All the rooms are curiously morphic.
Oh. Okay.
They're way
Yeah,
too
pretend
big.
he knows what. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Once you say that, he looks like
As
he actually
well.
understands. Okay. Right.
And they seem to be keyed to personality and archetypes in like a really big way. I would like to cast a spell if you think I can do that without killing everyone.
Oh, yeah. No. Magic's fine in the sphere. It's just on the 5-mile radius that it gets a bit ropey. But with the badge on you, it should also protect you.
Okay.
But you're in the city, so yeah, magic's totally fine in here.
Okay, cool. Is that a yes?
I'll
from
go
you?
check. I'll go check the body. Yeah, go do the magic. If it's all right, I'm gonna go check on that body though, because like we can't have a body on the roof. And I'll
Sure,
have to
don't
get-
scratch
yeah.
the rune.
Show
Oh,
him the page
okay.
in my technical manual as well, though. Like,
right.
Tap it.
That room. Okay, again, you've started talking about magic, so he's kind of doing that like dad being explained how the internet works. He's like, yep. No, I understand what you're pointing at there.
Mr.
so
Eastman.
yeah, goes up.
Where's the most
Yeah.
central point in the house?
That would-
probably the staircase.
Yep,
The
staircase.
central point of the staircase on
Yep.
the first floor. There's two floors.
First floor.
And
Yeah, that'd be the
roof.
most central. Mhm.
Okay.
Even though it's an asymmetrical building. But again, it breaks so many rules of nature, it's probable that would be the most logical.
Just stand to one side on the
Yeah.
staircase.
Hop between the two.
All right, well, I'm going all out with stuff in that case. I don't need all of my tools and techniques, but I'm using all 4 instead of just the 2 I need to go with.
Okay.
So I'm breaking out some candles from
Mhm.
my Go kit. I've got my ritual blade. We're going to inscribe a little pentagram, set candles.
Other
do
agents
incantations.
trying to move couches past you on the staircase while you're laying out candles.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. And my plan is to
Aceman's
use
just writing
magic
it all down.
to communicate with something that you do not share a language with.
Okay.
And that something is the house.
Okay.
So the
Ah.
genius loci, or as the French may call it, l'esprit d'escalier, the spirit
Okay.
of the staircase.
Give me a roll.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Perfect. So you get. Do you get enhanced effect on 12? I'm just reminding myself. The keeper
Yeah,
will offer some added benefit.
Added benefit. So
Okay.
my plan is to try and, bond to a degree with the spirit of the house.
Okay. I'm gonna. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up here.
Yeah,
So
and I
I'm
will
gonna-
leave
I'm
you
gonna-
to think about that.
Well, no,
if you want.
I would. I'll give you I'll give you an answer because it's not too long. I'm just gonna say something else. So first off, what happens is while you're doing this, Anderson returns and goes, "Yeah, Aggie, there's no body there. There's like some spikes, but there's no body."
What? There was definitely a body there.
If Billy and
It was
Aceman
a
go up,
little ruin next to
yeah,
it.
the
Was
rune's
it
still there. Yeah,
scratched out?
no, not scratched out. Body's just not there.
Mm,
And if you do check, yeah, the body's gone. The rail spikes are still there and the rune, but
I mean, it's not the
Nobody-
weirdest thing we've come across.
Yeah, but like, hopefully it's not walking around the house planning on murdering
Oh,
us.
now I'm worried.
Your room's locked. It's fine.
Oh, Billy's not worried about werewolves anymore.
I mean, I have a set of keys, but that doesn't mean there's not another set of keys. That's how buildings usually work.
Aggie, the body's next to you.
Okay, jolly good.
Wait, standing? Can we all see it? Can only Aggie see it?
Well, when you go back to Aggie, yeah, it's there. I'm not
If
sure
it's
how we
there
got that.
physically, I might not be able to see it at the minute, because if I'm in deep spell, then I'll be like
we
eyes
won't.
rolled
Right,
back, floating
So
ever
what-
so slightly,
What you hear
hair
is
billowing.
something whisper in your ear. What is it that you seek?
We just want to help.
Then I shall aid you. And I'm going to cut there. However, we have a little teaser scene at the end, if you wish. So, things happen by that point, and you all get to bed. You all pick your rooms, so do Paz and everyone else.
Hey, you made it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Everyone's excited. Anderson, it's late the night that you're all there. You're all cozy in bed, thinking about what you're going to do, what the future holds for all of you in this new city that you know little about.
Are we
Anderson-
pranking Anderson by telling him to take the teddy bear room?
You could do that if you want. Anderson is on the second floor, and he goes into room 15. He removes the U sword, exits down the stairs, and walks outside. There is Agent Portia. She is sitting against her, I guess you could say Porsche Mobile, which is not a Porsche, but it's Stan Mobile-esque.
Yeah, so it's the equivalent.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Porsche mobile, not a Porsche.
It's not a Porsche yet. No, the agency's not giving her a Porsche. And he says, "Is this what they're after?" She nods. She takes the sword. You might be called soon in relation to this. He grimaces. I'll get my team ready. And she drives off. And that's where we'll end it for tonight. Thank you everyone for being so patient. As I said, this is not one where we have a big horrible monster to fight. It was just a big horrible building that they had to investigate. And I am sorry if it was a bit boring or a bit chatty. I hope the mystery
was all good.
very interesting.
And I've just remembered that the Ben and Dante are a thing.
Yep. So I will head off to Ben to give us all of the lowdown, what's coming up with the week. But I will say, yes, thank you for listening, and I hope you have enjoyed listening to Garbag. So Ben, what is there that we've
What
got coming
is there next week? Well, that's an interesting question at the minute, because
Tuesday is Alien.
Tuesday is Alien at
Heart
the
of
minute. Yes,
Darkness.
that's right. Heart of Darkness, where Millie is trying to kill us all on a space station.
Oh, I've got an itchy eye. Sorry.
That's part 2 of that. Wednesday is Once Upon a Time in the Old World. Thursday is probably going to be Cyberpunk Red, because we missed a session last week because Dan, the GM, was not very well. I don't know what stage the USians are currently up to. Oh, I've lost track of what the US are up to. It's either Acton Cthulhu or Starfinder at the minute. Matt, if you're watching, you need to update the timetable. And then Friday, we've got Monster of the Week for the second to last time, with Lewis stepping back into the GM seat for the 2 last sessions.
Horrifically TPK everyone after you
Yes,
just got a
so that
fancy
we can
building.
Never have we can never have a season 2. We must all be TPK.
It does feel like
That's
the
it, well.
houses are set up for season 2, though. Like, if I was watching a TV show and it would be like, how are they going to keep this show fresh? And it's like, oh, they all move location and now they're in Crazy
A very
City.
weird house. And in a crazy city, yeah.
Hmm.
I have so much planned for that, you have no idea.
That's what's
You
what.
have to survive first.
Yes, we have to survive Lewis's stuff first.
And I'm sure some of us might.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Okay. I think that's us done then, if anyone else has anything to say or advertise.
Nope.
So,
I think we're pretty good there.
okay, well, as always, thank you for watching. I hope that you've had a wonderful evening watching this, or morning, afternoon, day, if you're watching us on YouTube, whatever time you are watching. And I guess we'll just say bye-bye, I think.